Hello, faith leaders, and welcome to Breaktime. As you know, we're in Philippians, and today is Philippians 1:12, which says, "Now, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel." What an awesome, this is one of those wild passages for me because I look at that and think, wow. Here's a man that was under heavy persecution to the point of chains. He was shackled. And he says this has happened to him. So to serve the gospel, to it actually gets to the place where he is advancing the gospel through his persecution, through his suffering, through his hardships, through the most difficult circumstance of life. There Paul is saying, this is why. This is why. To advance the gospel of Jesus Christ, period. Now, I look at that passage of scripture and think, what an influential, godly leader that I would love to exemplify in my own life. We all have, every single one of us that's going to hear this and see this, have difficult situations in our lives. None of us have been pushed from the exempt button in life that not some sort of suffering is not going to come across our path, because life just happens. It happens that way. We're not exempt from it as Christians. As a matter of fact, Paul was one of the most influential Christians that I've ever known, and yet he's in one of the most heavy, most difficult persecution times. But there's two things that can happen during persecution times. We can serve the persecution to the place where it becomes so much a part of our lives that we're so engulfed in it that it becomes all about us. Have you ever done that? I've done that. I've been in that place in my life where I've been suffering, and all I talk about is my suffering, my trial, my tribulation, my circumstance, and it just becomes one of those things that I carry around like a little baby, and I want everybody to see how much I am suffering. You know what was so cool about Paul? He didn't talk about his suffering to the place where it became all about him. Instead, he flipped it upside down. And he allowed his suffering to be a part of how he was going to serve Christ. Isn't that amazing? He used it as an avenue, okay, God, you brought this is here in my life, and so what are you going to do with it? And he used it as an avenue to serve Christ to the place that he actually advanced the gospel. It was one of those places in his life that was no longer about Paul. It was all about Christ. It was all about the gospel. It was all about Jesus. It was all about what he was going to do, God was going to do in the midst of it. So tell me, how can you use your circumstances of life to be a place where you're suffering, where you're going to actually use it as a tool to advance the gospel? You have a blessed day.